last fall. Okay, I'll start again. I wanted to convey how Peter came to be with us today. You may remember Dr. Pollack's webinar from last fall on pulsed magnetic therapy. Today, we will hear about static magnetic therapy. I learned of Peter after Dr. Pollack's webinar when I was looking into potential contraindications of pulsed magnetic therapy. Peter had posted a blog in 2021, which I will link into the chat once we get started. His websites have a wealth of information. I'll also post his websites into the chat. He has been working with static magnets for over 4 decades and in numerous applications. I felt he might be a nice fit for one of our weekly webinars, and he graciously agreed to be with us today. Incidentally, we heard Dr. Thomas Levy speak last month. Peter worked with Dr. Levy in the 90s, and the chapter on nutrition in Peter's book was written by Peter.
Sobre biomagnetismo, el origen siempre son los elementos.
Okay, so with that, I guess, Dr. Laird, am I turning it back over to you or directly to Peter at this point?
I think Peter can take over. And Peter, if you have any issues getting your PowerPoint on screen, I can do it from here. I have the file as well.
Okay. All right.
Perfection.
Yeah. So, well, I call this BiomagScience. And by the way, Joy, when you said static magnets, that's what they are. But I like to think of them as solid state because static to me is really, I mean, I think it's a misused term in this sense. We're not using static issues. I'm not sure I've got the right screen on. I mean, the right, hold on a moment here. This is not good. All right.
You could just share this and just go through it like this if you wanted, Peter. That's fine.
Yeah, but I'm not sure I have the proper one on here. Okay, there it is. Okay. I just don't know where the all the updates are. Okay, well, here we go. So essentially, the way magnetism works is, magnetism creates electricity. And in biomagnetism, of course, what we're trying to do is to elevate the cellular voltage of the cells to increase its function. I mean, this is, the primary basis of what biomagnetism is all about. I named this BiomagScience because I found that, well, let's put it this way, there are a set of rules that one has to follow in the science, part of which are, the meridians on the body, etc., which have to be addressed properly. So, but we'll just go through this to go to the next slide here. The magnets that we use, they're all neodymium super magnets, 3 different sizes for whatever needs to be addressed for therapy. You see the one on the right, which is about the size of a dime, has its particular applications. They're topical and or, an inch or inch and a half into penetrating into the tissue. The regulars, they actually they look much smaller than they actually are. Can you see me? Is my picture showing? My face? I mean,
no,
yes.
No. When you're sharing your screen, all we see is your screen.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, the middle size of the regulars, and they are, as you see, about the size of a nickel, thicker, but these are very powerful magnets. 2 of them stacked together actually can make a compass move at 20 inches. And the one to the left, the big one, the super, is very powerful. We use that for deep penetration. And we use that for, fatty livers or if there's aberrant cell growth. and we want to introduce a massive amount of negative charge into the area. That's when we use the supers. What we did is the green side is flat. The red side has raised letters so that if you use them, you can feel them. In case you have to put them on the back of your neck or on your back or something like that, you can feel the positive side, because the use of the negative is generally used to overcome inflammation, and things like inflammation are positive charged, free radical sites are positive charged, and so essentially you're using the negative side, introducing the negative energy into the tissue generally to reduce inflammation and help support an increase in cellular voltage, which of course increases function, etc. This next slide is, I just put it up so that if people need to see, this is the actual surface Gauss. Again, the supermagnets brought a whole new characteristic, a whole new benefit of having greater what's called Oersted values, greater penetration values, which was fantastic, because when I first started out, people were using 4 by 6 inch magnets, half an inch and an inch thick, and these things were huge, and they weren't easy to to wear. And of course, with the neodymium supermagnet breakthrough, now they're small and easy to wear, which is fantastic for doing whatever applicable therapy is necessary. The next slide is basically what bio-negative energy does for the body. I mean, let's face it, the body runs, the cells run on negative energy. The cytoplasm runs about an average of 22 millivolts. The membranes run around, well, anywhere from 400 to 900 picofarads, which is billionths of a volt. But the bio-negative energy, the green energy as I call it, because we did use colorology, and green is the healing color. So it increases cellular voltage, which of course increases metabolic and immune functions. It lends itself to an alkaline blood chemistry. It increases cellular transfer efficiency, of course, nutrition and oxygen uptake and detoxification outtake. It reduces pain by neutralizing the positive charges of inflammation. It helps reduce oxidative stress. And as you'll see in a slide later on, it really helps heal free radical sites very quickly. Of course, the free radical sites are positive charged. And when you address a strong negative field on a positive charge, it neutralizes it. And then it has an arresting effect on bacteria and a sedating effect on nerve tissue. And again, it helps immune function to fight colds and viruses and resolve illness. It calms and vasodilates blood vessels, helps to coagulate cuts and heal burns. Generally, it is what is used. Well, let's put it this way. When you hurt yourself, the body sends a signal to the brain. The brain sends a signal back to congregate negative energy into the area. And so the bio-negative energy from a magnet is really the energy that the body uses to heal. And of course, it's depending upon what type of magnet and everything you use, it amplifies that whole healing energy. So, okay, let's move on to the next one here. Okay, well, the positive pole, it stimulates energy. It also is useful for those practitioners who actually measure the hypo or hyperactive glands and organs of an individual. And if they are in a hypo state, the practitioner will use the positive side of the magnet to try to normalize the gland or organ in generally 20-minute segments. What's nice about biomagnetism is that you can just use the negative side. And even if it is hypoactive or hyperactive, it will help it normalize. It'll help normalize the energy levels of the cells and thereby help reach wellness. You got to watch out when you're playing with the positive energy, because it produces positive acid chemistry. Again, it is the stuff that inflammation runs on, so you got to be careful with it. We use it in circuits with the negative energy so that it's contained. And we'll talk about that later, but those circuits are quite amazing because they light up the DNA to regenerate missing tissue, including nerve tissue. But we'll get there. Let's see. Let's move on here. Can you all see this okay? Hello?
Yep.
Yes, we can.
Looks fine.
Okay, good. All right. All right, well, cellular voltage. It's interesting. People asked if I had read Jerry Tennant's work. He's a fellow that did a lot of study in cellular voltage. I hadn't. I'd come to this understanding on my own through some research that I was doing. And basically, we started, I hired someone to help a research lady, and she started taking voltages on people who were very ill. And so I started determining that, it was the cellular voltage was a way of measuring someone's health and making a determination of where exactly they were with their health. It comes down to high voltage or high normal voltage is good cellular health. Everything's functioning properly, but low voltage is an indication of very poor cellular health. They use, I'm sure most of you are familiar with some of the types of electronics used, but essentially what they do is they run an electrical current, a very light electrical current through the body and measure the impedance, the restriction of the cells of the membrane of the cells, and that qualifies and measures what the voltage of those cells are. And so using that, these are the general numbers of the voltage of the cells, actually the parallel capacitance of the membranes, which are done in what's called picofarads. And you see females, theirs is a little bit different than males. Males is a little bit higher, it requires, but what you've got is, when you're showing anywhere from, in the 700s to the thousands on females, picofarads, you've got good health. Average health runs about 600 to 773, as a matter of fact. You look over here at the men's, it follows the same ratios. It's the numbers are a little bit different, but basically what it shows is an exact measurement of the function of the cells and how and the health of the individual at that functional level. So now let's see here. All right. Now this is a case study. This gal was 53 years old. She had been in bed for 25 years with malabsorption. And often malabsorption's associative conditions, fibromyalgia. Of course, she had chronic fatigue. She had a lot of brain fog. She had a lot of inflammation, was constantly in pain. Before I found out about this lady, I didn't have any idea what malabsorption really was. But the problem with malabsorption is that her voltage, her cellular voltage had gone down so low that she didn't have enough energy to absorb the nutrients and particularly the electrolytes to increase the voltage in her cells, and thereby the cells couldn't get any better. And she was literally stuck. It's for 25 years. I mean, it's just remarkable. She was able, with the therapist, that a research therapist I worked with, she was able to raise her points up 25 points. In other words, previous to my running into her, within the last 3 years, she raised her points from 375 up to 400 picofarads, which is very, very ill. There's so little function going on. I often wonder how she was able to live so long. And she just was in terrible shape. And what we did is we put some magnets on the back of her neck. The lower CVS, we put it on the back of the neck because it has a slower uptake than the general primary energizing point, which is over the heart. So let me see. This was, hold on just a moment here. I think it was just an hour. I think it was just a little over an hour. It wasn't much more. And within that hour's time, her points went from 400. And as you see in the center, they were tested in November. And then in June is when we worked with her. They were tested that day. They hadn't changed. They were still 400 picofarads. And then an hour after applying the magnets, they went up to 507, which is just remarkable. I mean, you never see that kind of incline, even in a specialized diet, a years-long specialized diet. I mean, it's just quite remarkable. So that enabled her to start healing. And I'll tell you what, I mean, we did the daytime therapy with her, the nighttime therapy. We hadn't developed the organ group energizing therapy at the time, but we did the meridian energy therapy, which is a therapy that you put the magnets at each point on the hands, the feet, and the top of the head, and it energizes the whole body, energizes it and balances it. And 30 days later, she was fine. I mean, that's, and this is after 25 years. So since that time, we've met other people who've had malabsorption for 15 years. Same thing. And then last November, I met someone who had had malabsorption for 40 years. 40 years. I find it almost impossible to believe, but I'm talking to someone, and This is part of why we're together here, is because you've got to be careful with these people. You've got to be very careful. You can't just give them too much energy or the wrong energy, because it really sets them back. I mean, it's just remarkable. It really sets them back. Before we get to that point, though, I want to show you. Here's another case. This fellow had whiplash, and he couldn't lie down. He couldn't rest. He was just basically out of his mind. You see his blood work. These are dark field. Here's his blood work on the left, showing, I mean, when the blood work's like that, you know that the individual is really doing very poorly. And then within an hour, look at it on the right. There it is. I mean, this guy's, you know, he had been this way for months. I don't know. I don't know how many months exactly, but he was really in sad shape. And then within 30 days, he was back to normal with the correct biomagnetic therapies. Here's, pardon the picture on the right, but you can see on the left, you can see the free radical sites, the oxidative stress. And then after 60 minutes, you see there's quite a reduction in the size of it. This is something that is, you know, highly worthy and part of the response of bionegative energizing of the body. You know, just wonderful, remarkable what the energy can do. All right, the next slide is the book that I wrote. I only put that up. It does have, it has step-by-step protocols for over 180 A to Z conditions. Covered a lot with it, from simple to complex injuries, including, and here I'll get into this, we'll just go on, I present that first, because part of the basis of applying biomagnetism correctly is not to cause stress in the body. And thanks to Roy Davis's work, his reporting all the voltages of the body. When I was first into this, I noticed, well, this is very similar to Reiki, and also similar to polarity, or polarity medicine. The fact of the matter is that the limbs, the anterior left hemisphere limbs are all negative charge, and the back of them are positive charge. And right anterior is positive, and the back's negative. And this is important because, you know, it's like, I think back to, I accidentally crossed the jumper cables on a battery. I put the cables on to try to start. And man, I'll tell you, there's some pretty heavy sparks that happened. Actually, what happened is the battery blew up in my face. It was really quite an explosive situation. But anyway, so I started looking at this and thinking, because I had read material on some results, and there are therapists out there saying, well, put the magnet on, and if it starts to hurt, take it off, and then put it on later. And that didn't sound right to me. So I started looking into it and realized that the whole aspect of using direct flux energy is the same as DC current in electricity. And upon reviewing the energy medicines available, such as Reiki and polarity medicine and such, realize that you shouldn't be putting the negative healing energy on the positive side. It stresses the cells. So it really developed, that was part of the development, the proper development of BiomagScience. And to give you an indication, literally a friend of mine, he was in a head-on collision, and he crushed both knees and splintered both legs down to his ankles. And that was the last week in October. And they told him that he would not be putting any weight bearing on it until August. Maybe a little sooner, but not much, because it would take that long a period of time. Well, he put the magnets down the front of the left leg and down the back of the right leg in the negative meridian, and he was walking normally by the 3rd week of January. So that's, how fast and how well the energy amplifies if it's done correctly. And when I say correctly, I mean you've got to, place it. You can't place it on the wrong meridian. Anyway, I just let me move on here. Okay, this is in the book. It shows the meridians of the body, particularly for application. These are the little green and red guys here. The green's all the negative, the red's all the positive. If the pain is in the positive zone, you put it in the green zone, opposite, and works wonderfully. Okay, let's see. All right. Well, here we are, Joy. The post-PEMF therapy syndrome. Okay. More than a number of times, more than just a few times, I've had people get in touch, either through someone else or whatever. They had read the work on the site on malabsorption, and they were drawn to the site and drawn to BiomagScience. And as I answered these people, when I first talked with them, they had a very, very small, almost unhearable voice. It just sounded like they were talking from the grave or something like that. And they were rather confused. They were confusing. It took a bit of alertness to be able to work with them. And what had happened is that they were chronically ill. I think all of them probably suffered from malabsorption. But what occurred is that they got pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. One was a beamer and one was another thing. I don't know. It's they're just basically much the same. And it threw them for a loop. It backfired on them. Instead of helping them, it left them even worse off than they had been previous to the therapy. And so, since we've worked with these people without we worked with a lot of malabsorption and people are very, very low vitality. And what we did is we gave them the energy very slowly. We didn't input the energy rapidly because they would start to get nervous. They would start to detox. They couldn't take the energy fast. So we developed what's known as baby steps. But here's the point. As you look at this slide, the one on the right is solid state, or what initially was talked as static magnetic fields. And I like to call them solid state magnetic fields. You see the right-hand rule on the right side, it's spinning clockwise. You see the left-hand rule on the left side from the negative energy is spinning counterclockwise. Then you look at the PEMF electron spins, and they still have the same right rule and the same left rule, but they're not solid lines. They're little bursts of energy. And as each energy bursts, then it collapses, then it bursts again, then it collapses. And in reviewing why these people were suddenly reduced so much more in their energy, in their health by doing PEMF therapy, we suddenly realized that the pulsing is not sympathetic with the normal electron free spin of the electrons at the quantum level that make up, if you will, make up the molecules and then eventually make up the cells. But the pulsing is not natural to the free spin, whereas the solid state is constant and can build the pulsing. Literally is, it's like trying to accelerate in your car and you keep hitting the brakes. And so what it does is it reduces the spin. And in these individuals, when you reduce the spin, you reduce the voltage. And when you reduce the voltage, the cellular function goes down even lower. And, we knew about this because we had been helping people who were suffering from EMF, who were extremely hypersensitive to EMF. And we had been helping them slowly with what we call baby steps, rebuild their electric system to get back to normal. And all of a sudden, we've got these people who were not in good shape, and they go to and they get some PEMF therapy, and bang, they're even worse shape than before. So the reason, the problem, of course, is that again, the free spin of the electron, making up the atoms, and really the electron spin is responsible for the voltage. And as you apply the magnetic field, if it's a solid state or a static field, you're consistently helping it to accelerate. And it does so in combination with the metabolism of the cell, and it grows the voltage. The voltage increases, and thereby all the function does. The pulsing, the burst, it's a stop, start. See, the thing is that for each pulse, you have an aggressive and then a collapse field, aggressive and collapse. And that is what takes these people down. Now, and someone who does not have malabsorption, has a reservoir of negative energy, like most people do, most people who are not chronically ill, that I've been thinking about this and why PEMF does help some people. And it appears that those people are not, they're not at the low end in a compromised state, but have the reservoir to heal. And the PEMF helps them stimulate healing. And I just want to say one thing, I'm not, I've spent months working with PEMF devices, only months. I've spent, years and years on solid state biomagnetism. And I really am not qualified enough to see how PEMF therapy works, helps other conditions. But again, I don't see it as an appropriate therapy for people with extreme low vitality. They should basically stay away from it and use the benefits of solid state biomagnetism. So the rest of the stuff is just, it's our wellness kit. We've got everything in there to do all over 180 therapies, A to Z, step-by-step therapies. We've got water energizers in there to make sure that the water declusters so the body can use it and get an adequate amount of hydrogen ions, which so many people are low on. And we always have some oxygen. You never know when you need oxygen. You need to pump up the system with oxygen, or you need it topically. It's real important for those people who are interested in HGH. We've got a good one here. And let's see. Oh, and we also have we call them circulation enzymes. They dissolve vascular plaque. They're good. They work. It's an oral chelation, so it's what we've done is try to put everything together. You get the book, you get a pictorial guide when you get the wellness kit. You get a quick brochure that explains most of the elements in a very fast, concise manner. Basically, everything is there so that you can stay at home and do your therapy. And then, of course, what we do is we also provide, support, therapy support through this. Through BiomagScience here at the offices. And we've had some interesting results. I mean, we learned that if you put positive and negative on a nerve breach, such as quadriplegia or paraplegia, the energy will light up the DNA to reconnect the nerve tissue or whatever tissue is missing. It's interesting that positive negative circuit is fascinating. You can talk to a quadriplegic who's walking again, and they're pretty happy about that. We've seen the circuit on the back rebuild a herniated disc back to full height. It's quite remarkable, this positive negative circuit. All of them are in the material and can be used in case you need to rebuild your knees or something like that. We've had just excellent worked with it. The one organ group energizing therapy, the OGE, that one was developed. A friend called his father. Kidneys failed so much that he could no longer do dialysis, and he slipped into a septic shock coma. And when he called, he was trending toward about a day and a half, 2-day termination. And he asked, well, what can I do with the magnets? I said, well, I have to give me 10 minutes to think about this one. Jeez. So I called him back, and we put the magnets under each center of each right and left rib cage at the same level in the back, over the kidneys basically, and on the back of the neck. This I thought was a combination because, I mean, he was having organ and gland failure, but primary organ failure all over the place, and it wouldn't do any good to energize one at a time. They had to be all energized at the same time in concert. Otherwise, just, it wasn't. I didn't see how he could make it. So we tried it, and 3 days later, he woke up, and his kidneys were functioning. I mean, this is remarkable. This is just an incredible application. So, yeah, he left the hospital, huh? And I'll tell you something. I had to do the same thing with my dad a year ago last Christmas. So, it means a lot to me that we were able to do this thing. But that's about the size of it. Of course, I could talk for another 12 hours or so. I could watch you all fall asleep.
Well, we do have some questions for you, Steve, or Peter, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah, sure. Go ahead, Scott.
The first one is from Steve. How is the cellular voltage actually measured? Not sure if that was ever discussed.
Oh, well, BIA, it's a bioelectric impedance device, and attaches to the feet, the hands, forehead, and it's kind of standardized BIA device, and it's very sensitive. It measures picofarads. I mean, membrane voltage is in billionths of a volt. Picofarads. That's what billionths of a volt. But it does a great measurement. It used to be a squid device, which was super quantum interference device, same thing, an impedance device, which was like a multi-million-dollar voltmeter, if you will. They've been reduced to a reasonably desk-sized instrument. I don't use them anymore. I mean, what we did with the site, with our work, is we did a lot of research on it and put the findings on the site to show the before and after, the definite before and after, if you will, amazing. I've been doing this thing for over 40 years, and I still find it amazing. But ultimately, it does come down to simple math.
Okay, very well. And so Maura has a question about, have you seen any success with ganglion cells in the optic nerve?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I've seen anything there. We did do some work with some hypertrophic cells in the optic nerve on an infant who had what is it, strabismus? I can't think of the term right now. The shaking of the eyes. They were shaking so much.
Yeah, that's strabismus.
Yeah, they were shaking so much that they were blind, totally blind. And we did negative to the forehead here and started bringing it up. And
ROE.
Sorry, Peter. Keep going. I'll mute
the
that.
thing is that we developed the positive and negative brain reentrainment therapy from that, which we've used, people have used to help normalize their vision. I haven't seen a lot of it. Okay, but it did start out with the infant who went from being blind and such rapid eye crossing. It was just so rapid. It was, seemed like another involuntary function that we had. That the energy. It took about a month to settle down, and that child was able to see.
But specifically with conditions like glaucoma and macular degeneration, and
well, we've had some good work with that. We put it on the back of the neck to vasodilate the brain-blood barrier to get the circulation values up. We asked the individuals also to drink the energy water because, the hydrogen, the hypoactive hydrogen that most people are experiencing, they don't know about. And, we get most of our hydrogen from water. Mm-hmm. And when the water comes through clustered, the body can't split the hydrogen and oxygen. It can't split it economically, and so a lot of times there's most people are in a hypohydrogen state. They don't know it. It starts to manifest during middle age, and all you have to do is energize it. We energize it with the negative pole because the whole body's running on minus charges, and by declustering it, all of a sudden it breaks loose all this increased hydrogen availability to all the glands and organs. So we tell everybody, drink the energy water. I mean, you guys should be drinking it yourself. But we found that they reduce the pressure by putting the magnets at the end of the eye socket with glaucoma, reduce the pressure almost overnight. And yeah, it is impressive. People have gotten positive benefits from it. And, let's face it, part of the problem is the lack of circulation getting up there and not getting enough oxygen. So we also have them put oxygen. We give them a bottle of oxygen, or you can get more from us, and they add that to the water. And it has provided positive benefits. And it is one of the step-by-step therapies in the book.
So, Peter, a couple other questions here. This is a good one. Interesting question. Could magnets have a detrimental effect when used for pain if a person has a cardiac arrhythmia, which in itself is an electrical problem?
Well, years ago when I first got into this, a friend of mine had that. And we didn't know any better at the time. We were just starting out. And we put the magnets over her heart, over the sternum, because that's a good place to energize the body. But we specifically, in her case, put it over there, and it was helpful. it helped moderate the arrhythmia, which was outstanding for her because she had had years and years of it and just, terrible. So we have seen that since. And yeah, so yes, it is helpful.
Okay.
We've seen no contraindications. However, if there's any necrotic tissue in the heart, we don't want to even go near it because it could unloosen it. So that's one restriction.
Interesting. Okay. And now there's another question about tinnitus. You ever seen any results with that?
Yes. And we place it behind the ear, just on the round part of the skull right there, the rounding part, so that the red, of course, you're putting negative in, green, in there, but you don't want the red going to the back of the ear. You want it to go off to the side here. So it's just on that bump. We put it there, and also on the back of the neck. And there's been some help. It's helped some people. I can't say that it's helped everybody. We don't have the kind of results I see that, in pain in a lot of places in the body where it helps almost immediately, but it has been helpful for folks.
What about something like autism or even Alzheimer's, things of that nature?
Okay. Well, we've had several mothers whose sons were autistic. And upon wearing the magnets on the back of the neck, the one started talking, which was quite a breakthrough. The other one was able to settle down and go on a bus by himself. So if you talked to the mothers of these autistic kids, they would say that the magnets have been profound for them. Now, Alzheimer's seems to happen because the cerebral spinal fluid seems to go acid. And when it goes acid, it starts to build plaque. The reason we say that is, and this has occurred a number of times, we've had catatonic mothers in both cases who they put the magnets on the back of the neck. And of course, it's inputting the energy into the cerebral spinal fluid, which of course is, going up and bathing the interior of the brain. And we have seen these people come alive. And matter of fact, funny stories. I mean, well, particularly one because the daughter is a friend of mine, has become a friend of mine. We had helped her out of EHS, EMF, and which was pretty tough on her. But she said her mother came back and just wanted to travel and had such a joy of life that they could hardly stay up with her. So there is something to it. I can't say at this time I've been doing it or have enough people I've done it with that it's going to be exact, but or it's a dependable response. But we have seen a good response in just the back of the neck application. Also, the energy water. We've always applied that.
Now, how about the thing everyone is concerned with regarding 5G exposure with the cell towers?
Well, if you go to our site, one of the slogans that you'll read or the titles you'll read is the best defense for EMF is high cellular voltage. And the fact of the matter is that when people become compromised, their voltage goes down and they can start to respond to external fields. And now you see what I'm wearing right here. See that? those are, I'm just wearing a pair of magnets. I've got it inside and outside the shirt. Women wear them inside and outside their brassiere. And I'm getting my daily energy supplementation. That's it. And I've been doing this long enough that I can say I've run into people who are close to terminating in their 70s or early 70s, as a matter of fact. They got energized. They started wearing the magnets. They got their health back, and they lived to their mid-90s. So that's without qualification. That is, in other words, if you keep your cells at normal or high normal, which essentially if you take your daily energy supplementation, then you're going to live healthier and you're going to live longer. And you're going to be able to defend against external EMF. And that's the key. That's the real key. Yes, they're very important in helping you defend against the 5G.
So Peter, with what you're with your magnets, how does this compare to, say, a grounding mat? Is it the same type of thing, or is it different
a grounding mat is, I mean, it's like the difference between a Volkswagen and a Corvette when it comes to power. You know, when you do direct therapy, magnetic therapy, or energy supplementation, depending upon, I mean, if you're just doing it as a supplementary addition to your energy, it's so much more powerful. It really is. And you know, one thing about the mats that they can be a little bit disturbing, because a lot of them, most people don't put their own ground in. They ground to the electric system. And, you know, there's a back surge of about 40 volts that goes off, you know, when the refrigerator motor starts and this and that. So, and also when you ground, you can become an antenna for EMF, because remember, you're a ground. So, but the whole concept about grounding mats is to get the negative electromotive energy into your body. And that's the whole point. I mean, you want to fill up this human battery, keep it as charged up as possible with negative energy. And the best way is to apply the magnets directly. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Peter.
Don't miss with that.
All right. Well, as a tradition here on the webinar, we always turn it to Dr. Harshfield to land the plane. Dr. Harshfield, if you would.
Hey, good afternoon. Can everyone hear?
I can hear you.
Awesome. Peter, thank you so much. We talk about voltages healing. You mentioned Dr. Jerry Tennant's work, how the electrons within the cell are the key. One is 25 millivolts is optimum. We have so many things going on. It's easy to kind of lose sight and trying to be aware of certain particular things in isolation and kind of bring things together. When I was a little kid, I'm a radiologist now, so you can imagine how interested I am.
I wanted to listen to that.
And the permanent magnetic field, the very first MRI was invented by Dr. Raymond Damadian, who did not get the Nobel Prize. Whoops. Anyway, internal medicine doc. He just recently died last year, right after his COVID shot, unfortunately, but another story. So Dr. Damadian did the first MRI. He was an internal medicine doc, and he was in I guess medicine's political, but as an internal medicine doc, here's a radiology contraption. So the first MRI was an upright MRI, which is the way you ought to image people if they're alive, unless you want to image cadavers and you lay them down. The radiologist turns the MRI machine on its side, and here we go. Now we've got one source of upright MRs, a little punch for him, a little FONAR, the phonar systems are the only upright MR that we use. Now, a lot of the images are produced by this magnetism. And since I was a little kid, I think all of us are that way. Magnets are one of the most mysterious and fascinating of all of our little toys when we were kids. I mean, they attract each other, repel. We didn't understand that when we were little. And your mom stuck little notes on the refrigerator, things like man plans, God laughs, That's one of my favorites. But magnets are used for all sorts of things. We started making pictures with them using hydrogen because it has a pole. It's a plus and a minus in. Magnetism in and of itself is interesting. In some substances, like iron, are very magnetic, ferromagnetic, we call it, but based on iron. Some things are just diamagnetic. They're not influenced by external fields, like a copper penny. It's not going to change. A nickel, it's paramagnetic. So when we're imaging patients, we're using this phenomenon of how the little baby electrons and hydrogen atoms line up to create these beautiful pictures. We use magnetism, very safe, refrigerator type magnet safe, but you can get some real high energy, 7 Tesla now, where if you lay in that field and you move your head back and forth real quickly, the fluid in your
Oh, I think we lost Dr. Harshfield there for a second.
because of the negative longitudes, a magnetic field. So it's real interesting how to tie magnetism in to how we're trying to get voltages healing. How do we get electrons into the cells? Pulsed EMF, as you mentioned, a lot of the energy that we're using has got to be the right frequency. And we talk about guitars. Like if you have a guitar in my room study here and I pluck the C string and I've got a guitar out in the living room, that C string will vibrate.
Yeah,
So
sure.
if you want to put energy into a liver, 490 nanometers, or whatever the wavelength is, it's got to resonate. So that's the trick. Well, pulsed EMF, if you don't have the right resonance, A, it may not work, but B, it could actually make you worse, to your point.
Well, I mean, yeah, there you go. I mean, there's such a thing as the MRI post syndrome too, where people were left totally disoriented and brain fog and again. So what you're basically saying, if I have this correct, is that these people, perhaps who have this post PEMF syndrome, they were in fact got the wrong energy values, the wrong frequencies, and were left desperate. I mean, they're left like lying on the floor, almost unable to move.
Yeah, we have, and also MRIs are dangerous. You can't walk in there with metal objects; it'll go right in the center of the magnet. But the thing that we saw with magnetic fields, even the gentle ones, like the open MRs, are like 0.6 to 0.7 Tesla. Now everyone knows what a Tesla is. It's 10,000 Gauss. A lot of the MRIs are 1.5 Tesla or 3 Tesla or 7 Tesla, telling you the strength. And it has a gradient. It'll be a high or frequency at the top of your body, then at the toe, and greater at the left than the right. And that's how they generate pictures, because all the molecules vibrate. They're lower more frequency depending on how powerful the magnet is at any point, from the nose to the ears to so forth. We noticed that people that laid in magnetic fields, the left to right gradient would help them, manic depressives, to move their thoughts, supposedly, from left to right hemispheres. So we started using magnets at night when we weren't doing patients. We'd have patients that had depression and manic depression, and laid them in MRI fields, and it helped move molecules back and forth. We now know that 20% of our memory is not in the neuron, it's in the extracellular fluid. And how does that work? That's an interesting phenomenon. But these fluids move based on these magnetic fields, and they seem so inconsequential, and they're fun to talk about. But thank you, Peter, for bringing this to this group. This is the very group that needs to know about these things and how to use them, how not to use them, and so forth. We really appreciate your efforts. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And I love that story that you were giving. I mean, I love this information. It's all we know is that, magnetism is the glue that holds the universe together. And, when you start using it, and you can use it on a very simple basis in your daily lives, you could just be more healthy and live longer. And I mean, that's isn't that what it's all about?
It is. Thank you, Peter. Great
Thanks. That was
presentation.
awesome. Great presentation.
Again, your website is biomagscience.net. I think Joy has posted it a couple of times there in the chat. Biomagscience.net. Again, thank you for joining us. And thank you, Joy, for providing the information that you did. And we will see you next time, guys. I don't believe there is a webinar this Wednesday. So, and Jody can correct me if that's wrong, but I believe there was no webinar this coming Wednesday. So we will see you again then next Monday.
Thank you, Peter. Great
Thank you.
info.
Thank you so much for
Thank
letting
you.
me. Very good.
Can we
Take
get his
care.
email address?
Fabulous.
Can we get his email address?
Peter, what's your email address, Peter?
office@biomagscience.net.
There you go. office@biomagscience.net. Perfect. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
See ya. Take
Good
care.
week.
Bye.